Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome back to the predictions and breakdowns. Today we're taking a look at UFC 328, Khamzat Chimaev versus Strickland, which is taking place on May the 9th, 2026, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be taking a look at the entire card, starting off the early prelims and ending with the main event. We are in Newark, New Jersey, and we are looking at an absolutely stacked card. We got a lot of dogs that can bark, and I think we're going to get perfect this week. So let's just start it off with the early prelim opener. That is Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa, and we're going to pick Jose Ochoa to get it done via KO. I think this is a really good spot for Ochoa to just kind of lay it on Clayton Carpenter. Carpenter has had a bit of a problem in his last couple fights with the grappling, and he's a guy who seems to not do so well when he faces guys who have half of a level of takedown defense and have half of a level of wrestling. He's kind of a guy who's bullied a lot of his opposition, and I think in this fight against Jose Ochoa, I think the power is just too wide on the side of Jose Ochoa. There is a lot more ways I could see Clayton Carpenter winning this fight, but I do not see this going the distance. I think Jose Ochoa is going to chin him, and I think it's going to be probably in the second or third round. It's just, he's got so much power. He's been looking so good recently. He did lose to Azu Almabayev, but the consistent takedown threat was there. Clayton Carpenter doesn't have as consistent as a takedown threat as I see. I think he's more of a stand-up guy than he is a wrestler, but we will see on Saturday night. I'm picking Jose Ochoa as a favorite against Clayton Carpenter. He is the younger fighter. He will be a little bit faster. He probably will have the striking advantage as well, so we're just going to stick on the side of Ochoa. Next on the prelims, you have Gore Sursakaya versus Jordan Santos. And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty tempted to pick Jordan Santos this week. If I'm being honest, I'm probably going to pick Jordan Santos plus 5.5. If you can get it on DraftKings or Bet365. I do not see Sursakaya being able to knock out Jordan Santos. I thought Danny Barlow was going to be able to do it, or Ozzy Diaz, and it just hadn't happened. Jordan Santos has not been finished in his career yet. He's very durable, and Gore Sursakaya took until the third round against Eric McConaughey to take him out. There's a lot of people putting a lot of money on Gore Sursakaya to win by knockout, and I think I'm going to stay away from that. I think we're going to go over 1.5 rounds for this fight, and I think I'm going to see the side of Jordan Santos on the plus money side. I don't think I'm going to bet Gore Sursakaya on the line. There's just no point. And I think the predictions, realistically, if you want to pick Tapology, you can go with Gore Sursakaya to be more profitable on that side. But I think we're going to pick Jordan Santos this week. I think the plus 500 tag is a little bit out of the way. I don't know why it's so heavy. Like, he beat Danny Barlow, which is super impressive, who's just kind of the same striker. Gore Sursakaya, a little bit overrated in my opinion, seeing as he is Khamzat Chimaev's training partner. I don't really see where the hype comes from. I understand he has a lot of finishes inside his career, but he's only beaten Eric Nolan, Eric McConaughey, and Talha, and Talha fucking sucks. He took until near the end of the first round. So I'm going to go with Jordan Santos just because of value. But if you really want to pick, probably more than likely 75% of the time Gore Sursakaya is winning, but we will be picking Jordan Santos based on value. Next on the prelims, Pat Sabatini versus William Gomis. We are going with Pat Sabatini. The threat of the wrestling is just so grand against William Gomis that it just doesn't really matter what type of threat Gomis has on the striking, what type of kickboxing that he has. Pat Sabatini is able to move into range with some nice calculated shots, and he's able to take down guys at a very consistent rate. I believe he's taken down every single opponent he's faced inside the UFC, and I think he will continue that streak at least at this point. He is lacking 4 inches of height. He is lacking 3 inches of reach, but I do believe he will still get on the inside. He is a top 15 contender, and I think he will progress further. Progress further than just top 12. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's going to move at least to top 10. And I think William Gomis is a guy who he's going to be able to show out against. I think this is just a similar fight to Jordanson Brito, and Pat Sabatini had a really easy time with Brito, took him down at a consistent rate, was able to beat him up on the striking as well as hug him against the fence, and I think William Gomis is going to have a big problem with that. I think Pat Sabatini is just too big of a dog, too big of an aggressor, and I think he's going to get it done. Give me Pat Sabatini on the line. The value's all over Sabatini this week, and we're going to be taking it all day. Next on the prelims, if you can see the new Tapology strength of schedule, you can see that Roman Kopylov has a significant one over Marco Tulio Silva. But let's just go through this anyway. Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio Silva. They did change his name to Marco Matutu Tulio. I don't know why the fuck we're doing that, but anyway. I'm going to go with Roman Kopylov. I know a lot of people are staying away from the side of Marco Tulio's, or excuse me, of Roman Kopylov, seeing as he lost to Paulo Costa and then significantly lost to Gregory Robocop Rodriguez on the striking numbers. But I think in this situation, Marco Tulio Silva coming off a devastating loss to Christian Leroy Duncan, Roman Kopylov to losing to some of the best in the division, I can see Marco Tulio Silva getting knocked out in this fight. I can see him getting outpointed as well in a very close fight, 29-28 either way. And I think Roman Kopylov's at the bit of a downfall in his career where he kind of needs to make a break right now. This is kind of the only position he's going to get again, and if he loses this fight, he might be looking at a quick UFC exit in 2025. So I think, or 2026, especially after the shitty fights that he had last year. But Marco Tulio Silva, he looked pretty good against Trijan Gore, Ihor Potieria, but again, lackluster competition. I actually rate Trijan Gore quite highly in my opinion, even though he's 5-5 or 5-4, whatever it is in his career, or I guess he's 6-4 now. I still rate him quite highly, and I still think he's a really, really good contender. He's only fought really good guys. Roman Kopylov, though, really good kickboxing, a similar style of Marco Tulio Silva, but Silva seems to gas. Kopylov has a really good chin, hasn't seen him get rocked really that much. Gregory Robocop Rodriguez realistically should have been the guy to KO him. He didn't do it. Marco Tulio Silva probably just going to let off the gas right away, or let on the gas, excuse me, right away. Probably get tagged up inside the second and third round, probably lose the last two. I'm going to say Marco Tulio probably wins the first and gives up the other two. If you can pick that somewhere, probably DraftKings, you can probably bet that quite well. Yeah, first round should be easy for Tulio, but the gas is a problem for him, and he's had a significant issue with it his entire career, so just look out for that. We're going to go with Roman Kopylov, though. The dogs will bark, and we will get the first one with Kopylov as a plus 155 alongside Jordan Santos, as we talked about earlier, as a plus 500. Next on the prelims, Jim Miller taking on Jared Gordon. We're going to go with Flash Gordon. I think A10 Miller is at the latter positions in his career. He's 42 years of age. He's almost 43. He's got a long contract, and he probably is going to come out here against Jared Gordon and try and just chin him. It is very possible he gets chinned, but I believe in this situation, Jared Gordon should have a really easy time beating up Jim Miller. He should be able to get back into the lightweight contention with a win like this. He is at the last stretch of his career, 37 years of age, coming on 38. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left. He does have the advantage over Jim Miller with just speed. He has the advantage over him in the striking, realistically, just because of the speed, the volume. The only thing I would worry about with Jared Gordon is getting caught in the guillotine, seeing as Jim Miller pulls it almost every single fight, and it's really tough to get out of. Jim's so good at the guillotine. There's just not really a whole lot of guys can do. You kind of just sit in it and kind of get fucked. So I would worry just for that for Jared Gordon. Hopefully, he just doesn't have a problem, but I think it will be just fine. I think he'll get through it pretty easily. I think the decision is there, and I think maybe a late knockout could be an opportunity. But Jim Miller's been so just tough throughout his entire career. He's not getting finished. I'm just gonna say Jared Gordon by decision. Next on the prelims, Grant Dawson versus Mateus Rebecki. I really want to pick Grant Dawson, but I'm worried about the fact that Mateus Rebecki had a really close fight with Medebek Odobai. As the fight went on, it kind of turned into a brawl for Rebecki, and it kind of turned out that Rebecki was able to stop the takedowns later on. If that is what's going to happen, Grant Dawson is going to get beat up in the second and third round, which I'm a little bit worried about. I'm not going to lie to you guys, okay? I'm really worried that Grant Dawson is going to get chewed up later on. Manuel Torres was able to fucking chew him up. Well, that's a problem. See, Manuel Torres was able to chew him up specifically because of the fact that he was able to shuck off the takedowns, and there was no stand-up for Grant. Grant literally could not do anything. He couldn't get on the inside. He was just getting picked off on the out. Now, I like Rebecki a lot. I think he's got good talent. I think he's got a good striking base, and I think he's going to be able to move forward quite well. He went to a distance with Chris Duncan in a tough fight. He went the distance with Ludovic Klein in a tough fight. And these are guys that Grant Dawson would probably have a big problem with. These are probably guys that would be able to chew him up on the feet. I think we're going to go with Mateus Rebecki. I think this is going to be a fight where another dog gets it through. I think Rebecki is just at the point in his career where he's just proved so much that I can actually trust him to take a dog position here. These guys are so close in skill. They're very similar. Grant Dawson does have the reach advantage, but does he know how to use it? Not particularly. He usually gets chewed up quite easy, and he usually has problems with it. I'm not really sure if Grant Dawson's going to be able to take down Rebecca at a consistent rate. And that's the only reason why I'm not picking him. If I was more inclined, I would be more inclined with Grant Dawson if I could see an increase or just a better look at his striking, and he's looked the same his entire career. He's kind of looked shit. So I'm just going to stay away from Grant Dawson. I'm going to stay with the side of Mateus Rebecca, and I think he's going to get done in possibly devastating fashion with a knockout in round 2 or 3. But we're just going to stay it safe, pick the money line, and take it how you see it. Next, on the prelims, you have Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov. We're going to go with Joel Alvarez to win by finish. I just don't like Yaroslav Amosov at all. I know he got the Anaconda over Neil Magny, but Joel Alvarez is going to have a really, really easy time on the feet with Yaroslav. I don't really see a whole lot of issue with him getting on the inside and being able to chew him up. I've been so impressed with Joel Alvarez's striking. The knockout of Jakar Close, the knockout of Els Brenner, the knockout of, who was it before? It was right before the loss. Thiago Moises, he just absolutely chewed him up and just spit him out. Yaroslav has had a really easy career. He's had a lot of easy fights. He's gotten gifted quite a number of super easy fights throughout his shitty contender career. And Bellator really didn't do him any favors with giving him super easy fights. He was the Bellator champ. He did lose to Jason Jackson late in the 3rd round just because he couldn't get him down, couldn't get the submission off. And I think this is where we're going with Joel Alvarez. I think Alvarez is going to chuck everything off. I don't think he's getting submitted. I think he's going to keep pushing the pressure. And I think Joel Alvarez is such a good jiu-jitsu artist himself. I think his capabilities on the striking and the fact that he has such a good wrestling and jiu-jitsu background, that there is no worry here. There is not a stress in the world for Joel Alvarez. He will move forward. He will use his game plan. He will be able to put all of his weapons out into the field, and I think he will get a knockout over Yaroslav Amosov. This fight is not going the distance. We're going under 2.5 rounds. I don't care what the price tag is. It's going to hit, and we're going to pick Joel Alvarez to get it done via knockout. I think Yaroslav Amosov is just a little bit too dependent on that Anaconda choke. I think he's a little bit too inclined to take it every time, and if Joel Alvarez is able to get just on the inside in some striking range, there is no way he's pulling guard. There's no way he's getting taken down. He's going to knock him out. Easy pick, Joel Alvarez, another dog that's barking on Saturday night. Next on the prelims, you are looking for a finish in this fight. This is the highlighted prelim of the evening, and I believe that we're going to get one. Ateba Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. Now, Ateba may be a fraud. He may be a guy that will never be UFC middleweight gold, but he is in a position in his career where he's getting gifted the UFC win streak record at this point. He will probably get it, seeing as he's just getting gifted a lot of fights at middleweight, and this is probably going to be one of the best-selling tags for him. Ateba Gautier going to knock out Ozzy Diaz most likely in the first round. Ozzy Diaz has already been knocked out before. Pifer put it on him. Zhang put it on him. And this is going to be no different. This should be a really, really easy fight. If Joe Pifer realistically is knocking you out in the second round, Ateba Gautier is going to storm the gates right away, and he will put him away in the first round. I'm not really too stressed about this. This should be the easiest lock of the night, and this should be something that gives you a lot of free money, because Ateba Gautier by knockout, whatever the tag is, you could put your mother's fucking life on it. You'll probably get your mother times 2. Ozzy Diaz does not stand a chance. The striking differential is just too deep. Again, there is always a puncher's chance. There's always a chance that Diaz is able to put forth an overhand right and just slump Ateba Gautier in the corner. But this is very, very far from factual reality, and we will probably see Ozzy Diaz get put out in the corner himself within 3 minutes. So we're just going to go with Ateba Gautier on the highlighted prelim. Going to get it done. Now, next on the main card, you are looking at Bobby King Green versus Jeremy Stephens to just start off this amazing UFC 328 card. This is another highlighted one. They are looking for a finish in this fight, and I think you will probably see it with Bobby Green. I think Jeremy Stephens is just not really ready for UFC a competition again. He had a really close fight with Mike Perry, but he got knocked out in the 5th round in bare knuckle, which is really crazy to see. Bad fight with Mason Jones where he just gets controlled the whole time and kind of beat up. Eddie Alvarez win, Bobby Taylor win, Jimmy Rivera win. These are okay, but Eddie Alvarez is so old at this point in his career. It's not really anything to be fucking bragging about. Bobby King Green is still the younger fighter. He still probably moves a little bit better than Jeremy Stephens, but I could really see Jeremy Stephens just running in on the, because this is not, Bobby Green is not a takedown artist. This is exactly what Jeremy Stephens Stephens wants. He wants this type of fight, and this is the exact type of fight he's going to get. This is going to be a pure stand-up fight. Jeremy Stephens is going to be looking to get on the inside, and this is a pure unk brawl. This should be one of the best fights on the entire card, and this will end with a knockout. It's either going to be Bobby Green getting slept in the second round, or it's going to be Jeremy Stephens late in the third getting dropped with a body shot and getting put out with some ground and pound. I think Bobby Green has the more likelihood of getting it done. I think he's a little bit faster. I think he's a little bit slicker, and I think his boxing moves and the fact that he's able to just slip everything without having to worry about getting hit is such a high advantageous position to be, especially at 40 years of age. You're still able to do it. Jeremy Stephens is still going to be getting tired. He's older. He has had the tougher competition, but I'm not too worried. I think Bobby Green is going to get it done. Similar to the Grant Dawson knockout, just remember he's always got the power in his hands, and he's got real potential to be gold if he would have just locked it down when he was younger. I think Bobby Green could have been one of the best fighters of all time if he just put his fucking hands up and would stop slipping into fucking head kicks and left hooks. But that's fine. Jeremy Stephens, again, this is the perfect fight for him. This is what he wants. I'm going to say personally, this fight does not go distance. But again, when you have two power strikers, I believe it's majority, like 71% of the time, based on the actual statistics, it does go the distance because both guys are worried about getting slept. I don't think Bobby's worried about getting slept. He's been slept before. He is a real dog. This dude's been in prison, in real fights, in real, like, almost death battles. I'm going to go with Bobby Green, the real dog. Next on the main card, Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. We're going with Sean Brady. I think the takedown threat of Sean Brady has been proved time and time again. This is not a size bully or a weight bully either. This is Sean Brady coming in against Joaquin Buckley, who's, yes, put on a lot of mass, but seeing as the Kamaru Usman fight was just a complete wash, and Sean Brady had a really easy time watching that on the fucking couch, being like, oh shit, this is going to be a fucking light work day, seeing as Kamaru Usman didn't use any of his striking, really. He was just chain wrestling and just putting Joaquin Buckley to the ground. Sean Brady, that's exactly where he lies. He lies in the chain wrestling. He lies in taking the back and shrimping you out and just beating the shit out of you from the back and taking control and getting mount and then forcing you to your stomach. And he just moves and moves and moves and moves, and he's able to get a lot of good submissions. He was able to submit, Leon Edwards with a mounted guillotine, and now you have Joaquin Buckley here, who's a really tough test inside the welterweight division. He is top 5. He is looking for another knockout win. But seeing as he was losing to Wonder Boy until the third round where he got that sleeping knockout, he was losing to fucking Colby Covington. Or not Colby Covington. He was losing to Kamaru Usman. He was losing to Ruzaboyev early. Vicente Luque really had a tough time getting started, but even inside the first round, he was landing some okay shots. I'm worried about the fact that Buckley does not look consistent. He usually tries to come back. This is not a fight you can come back from. This is only 3 rounds, and you have short time to work, especially when you're on your ass, and you can't get up. Sean Brady does not let guys get up. He's a fucking gorilla, and he's absolutely massive for 5'10". I'm going to go with Sean Brady. I think he's a dog. I think he's got it done. I think he's going to be able to control Joaquin Buckley on the ground, just win at least 2 rounds. That's all he needs, 2 rounds. And if he gets cracked and hurt, yes, the third round I'm a little bit worried about, but you can live bet that. If you're really worried about that, just live bet it. Next on the main card, or just bet third round TKO. Next on the main card, Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I'm going with Volkov. A lot of people are picking the side of Waldo Cortez Acosta. I understand it. You saw him knock out Shamil Gaziev. You saw him knock out Derek Lewis. You saw him knock out Ante what the fuck is his name? Delia? Ante Delia? Whatever the fuck his name is. But Volkov is such a more consistent striker. He's got longer reach. He's a consistent jab threat. He was able to shut down Sergey Pavlovich. He was able to be consistently a deep threat with his kicks, his front kicks, and his jab. And that's all he really needs. He's one of the toughest fights inside the entire UFC heavyweight division. He's probably one of the best UFC heavyweights to ever live. And that's not getting credit whatsoever. And he's getting priced at almost a fucking... but like close to a coin flip. He's a minus 185. This should be a lot longer of odds than I really think. It should be at least minus 275 for Alexander Volkov. This is probably the best price you're going to get in his career over the next fucking year. So I would take Alexander Volkov. I think this is a good fight for him. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta is just a little bit too aggressive. I think he's going to put himself in some bad positions and get out jabbed and out positioned. And I think Volkov thrives in that. I think he's just been always consistently good at his boxing. Waldo Cortez Acosta is not a takedown threat. And Volkov's not really threatened by his leg kicks either. It's going to be a Volkov show. Should be a lot of leg kicks, a lot of front kicks to the body. And Waldo Cortez Acosta gets slowed down in probably the second and third round. and you get left with Volkov coming through. I think the decision is there. I think Volkov maybe by TKO is there late, but Volkov's more consistently a point threat than he is a knockout threat, so we're just going to take that and side with it. Next on the main card, we have the co-main event of the evening. Again, if you guys did enjoy this, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. We have Joshua Van, who's taking on Tyra. This is just two separate skill matchups, basically. This is a grappler against a pure boxer. And I think, I've been itching at this the whole week. And Tatsuro Taira losing to Brandon Royval is where I'm worried. Because Joshua Van is not a guy who gives up. He's not a guy who gets taken down and bullied. And, he beat up Brandon Royval, but he was getting beat up until that last second. Tatsuro Taira, I think majority of the time, it's probably going to be Tatsuro Taira. I think Van's going to win the striking. I think Van's going to get ahead really, really fast. I think Tatsuro Taira's just got a lot of threats on the ground. I think he's been consistently getting better. The fact that he knocked out Brandon Moreno is giving me a lot of fucking PTSD because the way he was taking the back and just able to consistently be a threat is just so fucking scary. Joshua Van, this is the exact thing we were worried about Pantoja. We were worried about Joshua Van, on the ground. We were worried about what's going to happen. What's the, fourth and fifth round. Van hasn't been there before. He's going to be getting tired. He's got a lot of stress coming out. Like, what's going to happen? And then you get gifted a fucking easy fucking win in the first round. But whatever. I think we're going with Tatsuro Taira. And if I'm being honest, I don't like picking against Joshua Van. I love Joshua Van. I think he's one of the greatest flyweights to ever live. But Tatsuro Taira and that Brandon Moreno fight gave me a lot of fucking worry. Because he took that Brandon Moreno fight 4 months after fighting Hyung Sung Park and choking his ass out for his first loss. Do you know how fucking insane that is? And Hyung Sung Park was doing well. He was destroying guys, and Tatsuro Taira didn't give a fuck. He mauled him in the first round and got him in the second round. I think Joshua Van's in for a tough fight. This is going to be a close fight. I think Tatsuro Taira is just the more likely to go, and I think for that reason, we're going to pick Tatsuro Taira on the line. He is labeled the best as his nickname. Maybe he will be the best by Saturday night. We're going to go Tatsuro Taira the best to get it done via submission or decision. I don't think the knockout threat's there for Taira, but submission threat is all over. Now, next, the main event of the evening. I'm going to get chewed up for this fucking one. Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. We're picking Sean Strickland to get it done against Khamzat Chimaev and become the new UFC Middleweight Champion of the world. I think this is a bad spot for Chimaev. I think the Gilbert Burns fight was a bad spot. I understand this is not Gilbert Burns, but, and the weight cut has something to do with that. But Dricus du Plessis is not a guy who's able to stand up. Sean Strickland's a guy who's been consistently a good wrestler his entire career. He's never been taken down that many times. He's always gotten back up. He's a consistent stand-up artist. He's got very good, high-level All-American wrestling. And he's one of the greatest wrestlers to live on the UFC middleweight roster. And people don't understand that. This is very similar to Justin Gaethje being one of the greatest wrestlers of the lightweight division, but he doesn't use it. And nobody understands that. And nobody gets that. And everybody gets mad at me when I say that. But it's factual. Justin Gaethje would out-wrestle half of these guys. That's why nobody takes him down. What do you think the number one threat for Justin Gaethje is? His fucking stand-up. Why would you not take him down and try and submit him? Well, obviously he has good fucking takedown defense, and obviously he has good wrestling if you're that worried about taking him down. Even fucking Khabib fucking got him, but it was a triangle. He was able to get on top. I understand he got caught, but still. Anyway, Sean Strickland here. I think this is a good position. I think the 1-2 in the teep is literally all he needs. I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to get tired. I think this is just... He cannot stand with Sean Strickland. And if he cannot consistently take Sean Strickland down, this is a bad fight for Khamzat Chimaev. And Gilbert Burns was able to stand up. Kamaru Usman was able to edge it out in the second and third round. I understand Khamzat knew that he didn't have the gas, and so he kind of blew it inside the first and second trying to get a finish. But that was Kamaru Usman off the couch. That was Marty who didn't fucking train that well. That was Marty who lost twice in a row to Leon Edwards and wanted to get a fucking win. Okay? Like, look at that. And then he comes and beats Joaquin Buckley. You guys don't understand what the fuck you're watching. And I think Sean Strickland, I think this is a beauty fight. I think this is a perfect spot for Sean Strickland. I think we're taking Sean Strickland all day as a plus 400 dog who's done it against Israel Adesanya, who will do it again against Khamzat Chimaev if the gods will let it. I think Khamzat Chimaev as a minus 510 tag, that's just too much. There is no value in that. There is all the value in Sean Strickland on Saturday night. There is all the value on the man who's able to outpoint half of these fucking middleweights in the world. He's one of the greatest fucking stand-up artists to live. He's got one of the best... I understand you think he's chinny. Motherfucker, he's only been knocked out, what, twice in his career? Once to Alex Pereira and once to Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos when he was still at fucking welterweight, where he got spinning wheel kicked into the fucking nether realm. Khamzat Chimaev is not that guy. He's not the knockout guy. He is only the submission guy. Has Sean Strickland been submitted in his career? No. He's never been submitted. Sean Strickland's never been submitted. Do I think that Khamzat Chimaev is the greatest wrestler that he's faced? Probably. Do I think that it's going to be the guy that submits him? Absolutely fucking not. Give me Sean Strickland all night and give me him to destroy Khamzat Chimaev on Saturday night as a plus 400 underdog. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. I'll see you guys all tomorrow for the best bets that I will have for Saturday night, and I'll make sure to upload it before the Saturday at noon. Or, excuse me, at midnight. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.